What's up, everybody? We're going to break down Bitcoin and where I think it's going. I do think the crypto bull run is over. The fun's over. It's now probably time to go back into a crypto winter. So we're gonna quickly go through what I see on Bitcoin and kind of where the major levels are for this. You're looking at the 2-month chart in non-logarithmic form. Put it in log, so I switch between log and non-logarithmic to get a better perspective of price action depending on what it's doing. So this is the log form, kind of it puts the overall moves of Bitcoin in better perspective because it has such massive price swings. So if you don't use logarithmic form, it tends to smash down like the smaller price action like this. So here it's kind of tiny, and then the big moves are exaggerated. So if we go from here to to logarithmic, you can actually see those previous moves are actually pretty massive, but in compared to the future moves of Bitcoin, they weren't as massive. So it tends to squash it down and makes it harder to analyze, in my opinion. So I use non-logarithmic. Or I'm sorry, I mostly use logarithmic, but I do check the non-log. Like, for instance, the reason I would check non-log here is because, yes, this is still kind of a tweezer top. You know, that's the first point I was going to make in this, is that on the 2-month, we're kind of putting in a tweezer top formation, which is bearish. But the candles are kind of squashed, right? They don't look as dramatic. But if you go to non-log, see how the candle wicks grow? These 2 wicks here are concerning for me. So the past 4 months, we've tried to go to new time. We've tried to go higher, but we inevitably got pushback from sellers. And last 2-month close, we did close with a inverse hammer candle, which is bearish. And then this period of 2-month candle, which closes in 12 days, also had a push up and a push back down, creating kind of another inverse hammer or a long wicked doji. And this pattern together is what's called a tweezer top. If you go to 3-month, we got the same thing. We got equal closes right through here, and then again tweezer tops on the quarterly. Next thing you want to pay attention to is our tricks. Down here is red. 2-month tricks is red. Monthly tricks is red. So higher time frames are saying that Bitcoin is overbought up here. If we go to the logarithmic form, if we do fib kind of like this area here, right through here to the bottom, and then down here, you can see that we came very close to a very heavy fib level. We almost hit it. You could argue if you wanted to fib kind of this first leg, pull back and then push up. If you wanted to fib this move too, fib from here to here, you can see we're sitting perfectly we are rejecting currently on the monthly, you know, first leg up, pull back, and then continuation. We almost hit it here, and then we pushed up just a little higher, and now we're pulling back off this 1.27 level. So again, another bearish confluence. Let's get back into the 3-month. So what we're going to do in the logarithmic form, we're going to mark out our lower quarterly band here, and then we're going to go to the 2-month, do the same thing. Go to the monthly, do the same thing. Let's get down to the weekly. We're going to mark out our weekly coral. Back to the 2-week. 2-week corals down here. Monthly corals down here. 2-month is down here. 3-month is not registered. So, that being said, we have a zone, a clear zone between the lower, I think it's 2-month band, and the weekly coral coming in right here. And then we do have a level right in here. Add this to make it a price zone. So basically off of this wick and the lower 2-month band is an area that I'm watching. So we're going to put another box into here. And then down here, we have the lows coming in. So this is going to be a very heavy area down here, around $75,000. So I think ultimately, and this level 2 down here, this is major structure. We had our old all-time highs fell all the way down to, if we actually expand this box out, we actually went back pretty close to old all-time highs back in 2024. We tested it, bounced off, went up, made new all-time highs, and now we're fading. So I think we're on the downtrend of a bigger reversal. Let's get into the daily chart and zoom out a little bit. There is a nice trend line that comes right through here. We come back here and pull it right through here. We tested it here, whoops, here, broke down below it and popped back up of it here, tested it here, tested it here, tested it here, pulled up, tested it here, pulled up a little bit, and then finally broke it. So this trend line has been tested 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, we'll call it 8 times. We actually broke through it on the 8th test. And what I'm looking for now is, remember, this right here is our lower monthly band. We are bouncing off of it, but since we did break through this trend right here, I'm looking for a test. I'm looking for a price to push back into it so I can take short positions, because I think ultimately we're coming down into this zone and these zones over time. There is a small level in between those two zones there at the daily 500 EMA, which is right in here. So here's kind of the possibilities to the upside that I'm looking at. I would not trade this to the upside. It's just too risky with all the selling price action that we've had. I know day traders like, oh, but Bitcoin's going to go higher just based off this chart. It is oversold on the daily. Our daily tricks is green, so I do expect price to start moving back the other way. But keep in mind, let's go to the 3-day chart. We're going to mark out our upper 3-day band, which is right here. And the reason I'm marking it out is because we did smoke it here and here. So I'd expect to pull back up into the upper band on the 3-day chart for a first touch and a rejection off of that to go lower. The other possible rejection level, go back to the daily. So if we're looking at the daily chart, we also have our upper daily band right here, which is a point of resistance, which happens to correlate to the bottom side of the trend. And if we move up a little further, we have the daily coral coming in right up here. So if we place a box right here, right there, and then get rid of this. So this area here is our daily coral and our upper 3-day band coming together, creating this nice price zone between 114.5, basically between $114,500 and $115,500. Okay. This level that we broke here was basically 110,000. This is coming in 109,791, which you can just call that $10,000. So possibilities. What I'm looking to do is possibly take a short futures trade entry right here, just in case we pop up and completely reject and fall again, or if price does want to come back up in here and pulls back and goes higher, this is my second order entry. So I'm going to enter probably here and then around 115 for a short entry, and then my stop is going to be just above this level right here, which is about basically 118.5 is where I would put my stop. Because I think if we push above this zone, there's a chance that it goes back to these highs. But I think probabilities for that are pretty low. So let me get rid of these lines. Let me put my stop line back in. Give me 1 second. About right in there. And then we also do have a trend line. We mark it right through here. Comes right through there. So we tested it here, tried to push above it here, fake. Tested it here, dropped, broke it here, smoked it here, hit this trend line here, backed up into it here, failed, and then finally broke this trend line. So I think if price does pop up in here and come back up, this area is going to be a major level because it's only 1, 2, 3 tests and it should fail. So if you want to mark out Fibonacci on this, just based off the daily chart, we scoot over here and pull our fib. If we fib this whole move down, you can see that our 50% fib lands right here at the coral, right at that trend line, and then our 0.382 lands here, and then our 0.618 lands here just above the daily upper band. So tons of confluence in this area and tons of confluences in here for short positions. Now if we do reject off of this and we do break these lows right through here, so say we go up and kind of mess around and come down, if we break this level, this is the likely end for another bounce there or down here at the 161. So I will hold so basically if this comes up, let me get these lines off again. Basically if price comes up here, I enter 1, starts to go against me, I enter 2 and average up to about right in this level, with my stop being this distance right here. This would be my stop distance. My target distance for the first exit on the first contract is going to be here, and then I'll exit the second contract here. So that would be a solid 18, basically 13 to 18% drop in Bitcoin, which on a futures contract, that's probably like $1,400, so about $2,800 on 2 contracts, and then about $4,000 or so ish on 2 contracts if I held both of them to down here. So with a risk of about $590, maybe $1,000. You know, so it's 2.5 or 2.8 to 1 to 4 to 1 or so ish. Roughly, just, you know, doing numbers in my head without pulling out a calculator. But that's my overall view of Bitcoin. You know, I think this fun is over. If we do, land down in this zone and this zone, if we go back to the higher time frames, like a 2-month, and zoom in here, if we land within that area, that's where that 2-month lower band is coming in. So it's going to be a good solid stopping point. And obviously if we get down in here, that's off the lower 3-month band. So if we happen to smoke or close below the quarterly band, so if we make it, and we got 2.5 months until this candle closes. So it could do it on this quarter candle, could be next quarter candle. Maybe it comes down to about here and bounces back up. And the next quarter it's there, and then the following quarter, so maybe 6 months from now, we finally get our down move to finally break this major level that's going to slowly climb up this way as time goes on. But this area, you know, between what, 90 and, you know, 95, if we lose that on the quarterly with a solid close, it's definitely game over. You know, bad news bears. Again, second 2-month, if we smoke the 2-month, you know, and close down here and we pull up again, you know, next level down is going to be in that 60,000 range. And then on the monthly, if we break this level here, close through it, pull back, come down, this is going to be our next level of support, which is right through here around 75,000. So 70 to 60 is the ultimate, you know, big bounce area. It could even go lower than that. Like, you know, over time, you know, Bitcoin typically corrects at least 70% in a bear market, in a crypto winter. So if we just marked out 70% from the most recent highs, 70% is about right here, which just happens to be the structure level here, the area that we broke here, and we tested it all the way through this area, and that's about 38,000. So I think between 35 and 38 we could see a bottom in Bitcoin, which may take a year or two to get to, And to also kind of touch on that, let's go to the 2-month. And then we're going to run a trend line through here. So here, just like that. Do our 70% drop, which is there. And if you want to go off the trend to here, so this level, and the coral's coming in right through here. So I think anywhere in here between 37, 50, possibly even, yeah, 35 is that level, that basically that 2-month coral. So I think between 35 and 50, we could see a bottom in Bitcoin again, but time will tell. So hopefully that's a little more clear.